India have won the second test match by 336 runs. 5 days ago, especially when there was no Bumrah, I don't think anyone in the world would have seen that one coming. But Akashdeep has taken 10 for an extraordinary performance. England have been absolutely pumped, though have they? It's all very confusing, but the fact of the matter is, it's 1-1. The third test match starts in 5 minutes, and we are good to go in this series, Pezza.
He goes, and for everybody listening, this is a famous win for India. If you're watching from home in India, just behind us, your boys are partying deluxe. They partied deluxe all day today. The ground, Edgbaston was 85% Indian at least. The Hollies was taken over. They reduced the home team and its fans to gallows humour. And why wouldn't they be partying? He goes, they've never won at Edgbaston before. It was a Bumrah-less team. Akashdeep and the bowling party stood up, and the series is on.
Hey, okay. Right now, they are drinking out of the cum gutters in the sheds.
Oh, please.
Shipments, that is. Now, a lot of questions in the comments about why we're here. It's a very good question. Yes, if you want to tune in a few hours' time, we'll be covering day 4 of the West Indies-Australia series, as we have been for both of those test matches. And hey, if you are in the UK and if you're in London next week, we are doing our live show on stage with Stuart Broad at the EVENTIM Apollo. Ticket link in the description below. There's still a handful of tickets left. If you want to come along and get behind the boys and see the boys live on stage, our show in Birmingham this week was very well received, I think. People laughed in the right moments. We had a good time with Jimmy Anderson. So, yeah, that's why we're here. That's what we're doing. But, Pezza, this game. Let's talk about this game.
There are so many permutations here. You can focus on England. You can focus on India. We were just at the press conference of Ben Stokes, and it was just 3 Aussies standing in the back corner with Trent, of course, as well, yes. Judging everybody, frankly. Yeah. But I think you do have to start with the, I guess, how momentous a victory it is for India. I mean, the way that they navigated themselves to such a demolition of the home team, 1-0 down in the series without their best player on this track. It's much more fun to blame England and their tactics for it, and we will, right? But what about the phalanx of performances they were able to put together, led by their skipper, who's breaking records left, right, and centre, ably assisted by several bats, and then the part that people didn't expect was their bowlers to stand up without Bumrah. It's not something we've seen before, and Akashdeep was breathing fire today. So glad that he got his 10 wickets. He was accurate. He was targeting the crack, and this is a guy who, when he lined up at the top of his mark for that final spell that he bowled, he had the crowd chanting Akashdeep. Now, again, I don't play bingo, but if I did have a bingo card, I wouldn't have had that as a chant at the start of the game. No. And when we talk about Indian prodigies coming through, we're normally focused on a kid down the road who's 15 making 200 or 100 or a big daddy, and they're doing it with the blade. But here's an example of depth with bowling overseas from a guy that has been steady for a while without being spectacular. And they find themselves now 1-1 going into Lords with the big boy Boom coming back. Yeah. If you're Indian, it's one of the great wins. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough for Akashdeep to be dropped, but Bumrah comes back, so that's just the way it goes. That's the way it goes. Last in, first out. Yeah, exactly. That's just the way it is. Now, you think about leading into this Test match specifically. Pressure, I would say, on Gambia in some capacities, because India's record in the last 9 Test matches was at 1 win, or something like that. Seven losses from 9. 7
losses from 9, and beginning of this Test match, Bumrah not playing, people very upset. Probably, I think, rightfully so at the time.
Hey, what's the margin of victory if he plays this?
Runs as well. Runs as well for Boom. So you just have to factor all that in, and it is extraordinary. And India, in no way were fortunate. They thoroughly outperformed England in every single faculty in this game. So I'm actually shocked. I'm actually shocked by the size of victory. Not that they've won so much, but the size of victory.
Yeah, and the second thing I had here was Akashdeep's 10, but maybe we talk more broadly about India. You're right to call out, this was a backs to the wall performance for them as well. It's very tempting, and people will have picked this up watching this show in particular. When you're in England, it's very tempting to get magnetised to to the England suck off and just look at it and go like, what psychosomatic delusion's going on here? Like, what is this? And then also go like, no, I do think they need to set 600 because they can chase these codes. But so you can actually lose sight of the fact that the opposition is involved in the game. England is meant to be dictating things at all costs and all times. As you said, like Gambier is under pressure. Well, he should be statistically, and they've got no Bumrah. They've got a brand new skipper. There was question marks over Gill's tactics in the fourth innings at Headingley, whether he was captaining at all. And what they did here was like they took full advantage of the conditions they were presented. They were ruthless. They were clinical. They really didn't give England much of a sniff. Like, so to stick with it for 5 full days and to close it off today was extraordinary. And I think like we've got to put this in broader context with the departures of Rohit and Kohli. There's people still walking around the ground today with like Rohit and Kohli signs and stuff. People miss them, but like now. The Gill captaincy has a statement win. The Gambier coaching stint has a statement win as well. And like this side, off the back of things like this, will start to forge their own identity. You know, I do get the sense that they get to play more as a team without those like absolute meteoric stars, those cosmic level stars in the team. So you've just got to say, like, the fairest of fucks to India for getting it done here.
So we have just sat in on the England captain's press conference, and he said the margin of victory is probably down to the fact that India made them chase 600. So,
with a smirk on the face,
so that is something to think about. That is probably the reason.
Yeah, I'm still working that one out. The margin of victory is due to the run deficit.
Yeah, the runs they can see.
Well, it is unlike this team to have ideas that go beyond numbers, which is the objective truth.
It's a real head fuck, this one.
Yeah, I'm still working it out, but that's obviously how that's meant to work. But he also said, well, I mean, are we done with India yet, or is there anything else you want to say about India?
I was just thinking, like, that particular comment. It's like something sometimes when you hear something on a train and you hear someone else talking, you're thinking like it sticks with you for the rest of the day. That's kind of the England team. Yeah, it sticks with you for the rest of the day, and you're thinking, what does that actually mean? Yeah. Anyway, India played well.
England post-mortem. Stokes was asked in the presser, what he put the loss down to, and he did he say it was two things, and then he mentioned one thing, which was that.
He said two moments. Two moments. India being 210 for 5, and losing 5 for 84 in the first innings.
Yeah, so
they were 5 for 83 in the second, I think. Yeah, so.
Yeah,
a couple moments.
Yeah, there's times when the opposition does well.
That's why I never captained England.
That's true. That's true. I think that it's. I think it is. I mean, look. I think you've got to have it right. Again, Stokes takes over this team when they've won 1 from 17. So does McCullum, and now they've won 23 from 37 or something like that. The improvement's been marked. It's just today's a. And baseball has days of magic. It has days of and games where they push boundaries on things thought not to be possible before, and to have it right, when you understand that in the context of the cricket that English people experienced leading up to baseball, some of them very senior in age. It has been so refreshing for them. You can see that. There is major cultural differences between the way English people and Australian people watch and receive and reflect upon their cricket and the place in its life, that like you can actually explain why there was laughter and giddiness over the way Shoaib Bashir was reverse sweeping, whereas in Australia that'd be head on pike, you'll never play again. And that's all because of what you grow up with. That's the context that it puts it in.
Totally.
But today, I think today was one of those like baseball delusion days, like all games, where the decision at the toss and the tactics taken therein were an anathema to the numbers that were in front of us and the conditions that were in front of us. And you're not going to get a concession on that, but to present India what they did with this deck, and then to have so much faith in what the day 5 deck would do in a chase, where it actually ended up breaking up. It's just an error in judgment. That's all it is, and it'll be interesting to see whether baseball can develop flexibility and develop a method beyond let's have a flatty and let's chase on a flatty.
Yeah, it's really bizarre because twice last year they lost. They had 2 of their top 4 biggest ever defeats in terms of runs. One in New Zealand, one in India. So one was in. Can't think where in New Zealand, might have been Wellington. The other one was in Rajkot. And so both times losing by more than 400 runs. Today they lose by 336. I guess it could have been more. It wasn't. You think about how the game's panned out. India have just battered them into the ground with batting. And then the bowling was just outstanding. And they caught relatively well, much better than what they did in the first test match. And England were 5 for 80 twice. And they made 400 in the first innings, yet 2 guys put on 300. It's so discombobulating, like how the team plays. Like when it fails so spectacularly that they have been absolutely flogged in this game. It doesn't mean anything because the new game starts in 5 minutes, but it's just weird because they played so well, in large moments in the first Test match, and they Bryden Carr bowled excellently yesterday, and that partnership between Smith and Brooke was outstanding. Apart from that, there's not a moment in the game where they've that they've looked competitive. And I think that's like this whole the way they play, it dizzies, it discombobulates in the in positive ways and in negative ways, right? And and so people are right to ask the question, like, if you're capable of such heights, how are you capable of such lows as well? And I note that there's this ongoing conversation about like define baseball and what it is. They don't like what it's called and stuff. And obviously we're sort of pseudo internet correspondents from Australia watching in from afar. We're not inside it. But like some people say baseball is just aggressive batting. Others like take these more ethereal views of like it's being the best version of yourself. Like to me, as far as I can tell so far, baseball is just like a rejection of doing boring stuff in cricket. Like it's just don't lower yourself to or like don't ever get caught up in grinding in the game. Like whatever you do, either be pursuing wickets wildly, batting at pace, and in fact what that does, although it looks like entertainment, it attaches you to rigidity of style. Like, and I think that's where like is baseball 3.0 like sometimes going, we have to defend. Can defense be part of the way that they bat? Because like I look at this, they're 80 minutes from the close of play. There's 80 minutes of this game where England was wasteful and trying to generate innings and giving runs away and dropping catches or batting with they got 4 and over today, like batting with a fluidity that might where maybe taking some time out of the game might have helped. But there's just like a fundamentalism and evangelism and rigidity to the way they play, where it's like we refuse to do boring stuff because we're trying to create a different emotional landscape with the game. And I think that can cost them a result sometimes. But, maybe that evangelism is responsible for the success as well. But cultural differences in Australia, like there's things that you watched today in the last few days where you're like, oh, please put your head down just for a bit. Mate, totally, yeah. So, like, I just think about a couple of dismissals today. Now, like, so there's still 27 overs left or something, max, bad light possibly. Could have probably would have been fine. 27 overs and a second new ball, right? So a couple of dismissals this morning from Pope and Brooke.
Yeah,
decked fucking miles.
Nothing you do.
Nothing you do.
Yeah.
Now, like when I saw like Chris Wokes, still like there's still probably 2.5 hours left in the day, still a long time. Just pop one up the chute, just and like Stokes talks about how Jamie Smith, who batted really nicely for 88 today, he pumped. Was it Krishna? He pumped. Or was it Akash Deep? I can't remember. Was it Siraj? It was one of them. For 2 sixes in a row, and you just knew he's going to pump him. He was going to bump it short again. There's 3 guys out in the hook. Next one sticks in the wicket a bit. Caught it deep back at square leg. Stokes talks about he wanted to. If he wanted to bat time, he wanted to bat the way he bats, right?
Yeah.
Like he said that in as many words. And like, I wonder if anyone's challenging that, being like, yeah, but if you get in and you block the shit out of it, it looks really hard to get out. Now, like, maybe there was enough time, and, I've just said, like, they have been flogged, and they have been, but I just wonder, like, at no stage, was the draw on today.
Yeah.
So
he was saying that in the press. He was like, we had 80 overs to bat today or whatever. I mean, it didn't look like they were batting with, like a gun to their head to really, like stave off defeat. But,
Right, yeah.
The thing I come back to with this game in particular is like is the decision at the toss and that commitment to chasing. I would like to know more about why the chasing is so critical to the game style, because like if they had like so much of chasing in the final innings requires a zealous belief and trust in what the day 5 deck is going to do, or like day 4 or day 5. And like classically in Test cricket, it is the day where the pitch misbehaves most. I know he's in lockstep with the ground staff, but like what they turned up to see today was like was a day 5 deck, and they were completely not cut out for it. So like why can't he bat in those conditions, take what's in front of him and get it done from there? What is it? Is it does it not get? Is there no metaphorical erection for the team unless they stalk the horse and chase it?
Yeah.
I mean, they've shown the ability to refine, and I think you've got to say this as well. It's like in India. Like, anytime you lose at home and you're one of the big 3 teams, knives are out, because it's like you've just got to win all the time, right? I mean, look at Australia. Like, the feeling today doesn't seem to be as hectic as Australia in Perth, right? Like when they lost. But let's have it right. Like, it's a 5-test series. England's lost 1 game. Yeah. I will be curious to see at Lords whether the deck is even flatter to avoid the day 5 thing, and like how they choose to play that. It's
probably too late now to change it. I feel like it takes ages to prepare a deck, and then like months. So I mean, but it is interesting with Bumrah coming back. You know, like India's just pumped England, and they get their best player back. So I guess it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Oh man, interesting times ahead.
And do you know what? Like I mean, we haven't said one funny thing on the show, which is I think it's us trying to figure it all out, right? And I think the truth is that India were fantastic in this game, and England were somewhere between diabolical and mediocre.
Yeah, I just think there's a wastefulness when Stokes is wheeling and dealing to like get certain innings done, and he's putting the field back, or he's holding bowlers back for next game, or the batters are neither defending nor attacking like they were today. They're still going at 4 and over. Like there's it's like those margins of the game, they all add up at the end of the day. Whereas I think baseball sort of relies on like a couple of guys to do something incredible on a flat deck. So again, throwing forward to the Ashes, like I just wonder how much the way these guys play is very conditional on like on specific types of wickets. Yeah, you know, because they get a tough one today, and it was like, what do we do now?
Yeah. Now at the same time, we did see Jofra warming up in a singlet vest. So
and I got to say,
put a price on that, you know?
Well, and they serve tea in the press box as well, and and I think that you can't. You can't question the PR effort. So you know, and I'm being serious. Like England were on the brink of defeat, and they said, "Joff, can you come and warm up, please?" And he has a jacket on. He's there with Tim Southey as well. He has a jacket on. He goes by the boundary, and they asked him to take the jacket off, and then you're seeing it. You're seeing the rig in full glory, and you're like, "Oh, I like this."
Well, okay.
Yeah, can you take your singlet off now, Joff?
I see what you're doing. Yeah, and maybe the shorts as well.
Yeah. Hey Tim, you too as well, mate. That's all right. Good looking rooster.
Now we are wrapping up here from Birmingham. It's been a great, how long have we been here for? It's about a week, I suppose. Again, thank you so much to the people that came to see us live in Birmingham the other night. Thank you to Jimmy Anderson. He's definitely watching this show and not playing county cricket right now. And for those, we'll be in London tomorrow.
The first thing you said on stage, I'm sorry, the first thing you said on stage was, I've not listened to your podcast. So, but others say it's okay.
So there is that. But it's been wonderful to be back here at Edgbaston. We have a personal fucking weird record, Pezza, where we've been here 3 times and England have lost every game. And this was formerly like they barely lost
the Fortress. We've come to the Fortress and never seen England win.
So that means that we play for the team. Isn't that interesting for you guys at home?
It must be. And I actually count the number of tests I go to as well. Yeah.
Anyway, so there's that. But just a big thank you to Birmingham for your hospitality, and we'll be in London tomorrow, as I said. And come along and see us live in London on Sunday, day 4. Lords.
Asked TDC from the Pigs. Bingers Pingers says, is the genius of Stokes too much for my simple Australian mind to comprehend? Possibly.
George, you're just a dumb oaf.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Steve Smith's eye paint says, I've always loved Mohammad Siraj, and I won't hear a bad word said about him.
Won't hear a bad word said about him.
Aussies feeling the same way.
Well, he took an absolute screamer today, and then lost one in the wind, and let me tell you, it's barely windy out here. So, sort of well, I actually take it back.
Is this
tough chance?
Is this 5D chess by the Poms to lose against India and trying to get us to underestimate them for the Ashes? 5-0, fuck off, nonetheless.
Yeah.
I think if England, if England won this series 5-0, our country would manage to underestimate them.
I
really believe that. If we lost in the West Indies 0-3, we would still underestimate
sweep
England.
that under the old rug. What I do think is interesting is I'm not sure if anyone's figured out what this means for the World Test Championship.
Well, that was a question Higgins did consider asking Stokes. No presser. Baggy Greens at Wimbledon says, why did the curators do Stokes dirty like that? That's the real question.
In terms of head on pike, I can actually see the groundsman's head being put on the pike over there as we speak.
Creatino Best says...
not bad.
England's loss was a better result than Australia's win. I mean, Australia hasn't won yet.
Yeah. Cock a hoop. Monday morning back in Australia. A nice bus trip to work, that is. Yeah.
Well, we will have the result of Australia-West Indies, or at least I hope we do. Because if we get to the end of the day and there isn't a result yet, then it's getting close. So far, so good.
All right. Well, thanks once again for joining us here on TGC. When you see you guys later tonight. Cheers.